entrepreneur, realtor, real estate investor, media expert, husband, and business owner with his wife. These are just a few of the words to describe our guest today, Justin Konikow. Justin is a realtor based out of Southwestern Ontario, and we're really pleased to have him today on the show. Justin, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Nice to see you guys. I know we spent the weekend together at a huge investment summit, and now we get to catch up. So
Cool little office setup there, like the decor there in the background. Very Gary V.
yeah, actually, those are Gary Vee's shoes. Those ones, right? The O2s and I think the O4s. They were a gift. But I think you want to be inspired, right? When you are in a space, you want to make sure that it fires you up, and that does that in spades for me.
Wish I could say the same about mine behind me, but for next year. And we just recently reconnected there through Keyspire, which is one of the largest educational real estate investing organizations here. They had their big conference in Toronto. Talk about what being involved in a group like Keyspire has meant to you and your business.
Yeah, so I got the call from Scott McGilvery and his organization a long time ago. At that time, it was myself and my wife and a VA in the Philippines. And I was working out of a 150 square foot office, it feels like. And they were like, hey, we're doing this investor networking thing. We heard you crush investment properties in London, and we want you to come speak at our events and bring off market deals. My experience initially was like, this is a scam. Scott doesn't know who I am. Why is he calling me? My wife's much smarter than me. Was like, no, you should go. Like, he's legit. He was working, I think, with CIBC Run for the Cure at the time, and went to the first summit, and it was awesome. I actually went there and I saw like top talent, service providers and investors, and started asking them, like, why are you here? You don't need leads. Like, why are you here? And a lot of it was the collaboration and the high value network that he was building, right? Because the membership is one of those memberships that's not cheap, but it also qualifies a lot of the people that are there and gives them access to things that they wouldn't get. So I committed at that point in time to building out a portion of my business to service Keyspire, Scott, at an ultra high level. And now that's the investment division at Prime. So I've then grown from that day when it was just the three of us to now we're a team of approximately 30 people. We have salaried staff members, transaction coordinators, marketing communication. We have, research analysts on staff. We have market intelligence kind of baked into the company. We own our own brokerage, which is a little bit unique too. We don't work for anybody else. We built basically a company, and that relationship with Scott was one of the key pieces because it always helped us sharpen our swords. And being on a podcast with you guys is the exact same thing, right? And seeing what you're doing in your area and learning from each other, that's the point, right? So it definitely helped us learn how to collaborate at a very high level.
Yeah, definitely. And it's amazing. We were at that Keyspire event, 3 full days, a lot of information, and everyone is eager to jump on those calls, those Zoom meetings Monday morning right after the event and continue to learn, continue to network, and actually take action in some of these deals. So Keyspire does such a good job at that. We've also seen you on the main stage at Keyspire in the past. Is that something you enjoy doing, being out in front of, 600 plus people?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just happened over the years, right? They would bring me in to speak about negotiations. Now I speak on a lot of stages in a lot of different places. I'm a little bit more selective about where I'm doing it because I'm kind of leaning back into wanting to be known as the most trusted name in real estate on the planet. And that comes with being a really, really good agent and building really good systems and foundations. So I still do selective speaking engagements, and it's fun it's scary in the beginning, but it really became something that was easy for me after time because I stopped trying to present and started just talking about stuff that I actually had information or expertise on. So yeah, I really did come to enjoy it as I started learning it.
And media has been a huge component of your team. You've got your Prime brokerage, and then you've also got Prime Media, which is your in-house media component. What impact has that had on your business and sort of the growth of it? Has it been a great return on investment or a great return on time, or has it just been sort of fun to film the videos? You like doing it? What's that impact been on sort of the bottom line?
I mean, we built our business on the back of content creation, right? So initially I was the production company. So unbeknownst to a lot of people, I shoot, I can do photography, I edit. I went to school for digital imaging and animation. Marketing was actually my specialty. And the production company came around via, we were outsourcing a lot of our work to other companies like agents do, but then we wanted to have a competitive advantage because I didn't want, Austin to be able to say, well, I do the same videos Justin does because he just hires the same photographer that I do. So we started bringing in interns and hiring our own staff and came up with our own proprietary recipe. Now that's turned into the production company and the agency kind of being both in media where we create our own assets and then we run our own strategic marketing against that creative. And I can tell you it's something that we're going to continue doing because we definitely want to maintain leading edge in terms of industry standards, right? And it's given us the ability to operate at a speed that a lot of the larger companies simply can't, because they're hiring companies like I used to hire and maybe don't understand it to the level that we do, right? So I would say I do still enjoy making videos and content to a very high degree, but the results of creating content, even doing this, have been astronomical to our business. And I think it's only going to keep getting bigger and bigger, because I'll use this podcast as an example. My competition could say, well, Justin is doing podcasts. He's not even really a real estate agent anymore. Like, what benefit does he have doing a podcast with Austin and Taylor from BC, when in reality, people are moving every day from BC to Ontario? Not only that, you have a very dialed in list of people that are interested in Ontario and BC. So in actuality, Justin now has the ability of reaching your entire database through a podcast. And if they're investing in London, Southwestern Ontario, guess who they're going to call? By referral, me. So if you're strategic about who you align yourself with and how you're doing your content and layering your passions with your purpose, then I think there's tons of opportunity. If you're just doing it because you want to be a celebrity agent that gets on stages and build an entire business around recruiting and running coaching programs, more power to you. That's not me. I very much want to sell real estate at an ultra high level, and I use content to do it. So to answer your question, yes, I'm going to continue doing it.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I think you nailed it on the head, especially for us. These type of interactions, podcasts, networking is really just to build that relationship, and your reach of being out west, out east is just much, much greater. And for some of our Vancouverites here, maybe BC listeners, where geographically is exactly London? Your guys' brokerage is based out of London, Ontario. Where geographically is London, and how is the market looking today?
Taylor, if you can give me screen sharing control, I will give your viewers a crash course consultation, just like they would get if we're doing this one-on-one. I like Google Earth because it is super interactive. You saw me doing this at the summit, I'm sure, on my big screen over the weekend. So I'll zoom out, make it easy for your people because they're out in BC. So you guys are all the way over here. So if you go to Ontario, we're this most southern tip of Ontario, Canada. Everybody knows Toronto, right? It is a mecca, GTA. London is actually sandwiched right between the GTA and Detroit. So a very interesting thing about this territory is it's isolated. So as the GTA grew and hockey stick spiked up and down and bigger major markets did, we never did, because we've always been an island unto ourselves. Very steady, boring growth forever. We spiked 2017 like everybody else, 2022. But even as things are kind of bottoming out now, we're still steadily kind of inclining. We hit a dip last year like everybody else, but it's because we're super isolated. Tons of Class A agricultural land in Southwestern Ontario. Our territory covers the Grand Bend market all the way down to Port Stanley, Woodstock to Sarnia, London being the hub. So this is becoming like the GLA. And then this pocket here is something to watch. So Amazon set up shop right here. My best friend growing up actually built it. Amazing facility. And they built it here because proximity to 402 and 401 interchanges, plus the CP and CN rails that own land title absolute, is a game changer. And also Elgin County just landed the Volkswagen EV plant. So if you're thinking about our territory, really think about the fact that we got a young, old market in London, and then a lot of these secondary and tertiary markets that are getting gobbled up. And I'm very curious to see what happens in the next 20 years, because I think it'll be similar to places like Toronto, Vancouver, where just by sheer proximity, you're going to see lots of development happening in this area.
It was a great visual. First time on the show, we've had a live map pulled up. So thanks for that. And definitely some great news from the manufacturing side on the automotive there with the EV deal with Ontario. So some more positive news there. With rising interest rates today, has this started to push inventory levels within the market? Being in the conversations around the Toronto market and Vancouver, inventory levels are still very, very low. Are you seeing the same thing within your markets?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly, right? I'll pull up another graph for you guys, may as well, because you like the stats and the graphs. And I always like showing the stats for people. I think that's what they're here for. And I'm very data driven when it comes to this stuff. So I'll go back to a 5-year trend line. So this is going back to 2010. This is the entire ITSO board. So primary, secondary, tertiary markets, you can really see that kind of steady climb, like I told you guys about. Obviously, 2022 being the spike here, we dropped down to about $200,000 difference from that peak, and we're starting to climb back up. When you asked about listings, this has been very cyclical, right? So it's the same thing every year: December, 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 December. So I mean, our inventory level pattern has not really changed. It will go up until May 24. Then every good Canadian goes on vacation and stuff sits around a little bit longer. Fall will pick up and the cycles will continue. Actual number of homes for sale, we are still well below our 2018 kind of peak numbers, right? So if you look at this time of year back in this area, you're going to see that we're still below the average levels. And the months of supply is the other one that I always look at. 4 months of supply is a balanced market. We're at 2.5. So last month we were at 2.2 in December. It's climbing, but I don't know if this is indicative to what's actually happening, because it says we're at a higher months of supply than we were in December. Yet December, the buyer activity was non-existent. January and February, we are seeing gangbusters, showings, offers, stuff that's been sitting around is cleared out. So, and I think that's just an indication that this data is 60 to 90 days old, right? They take closed transactions and that's what they post. Boots on the ground, I have a feeling that we're going to tighten up even more because the buyers are out there shopping. With SVB collapsing, what's happening with Credit Suisse and the banks, I think the Fed's probably going to hold rates for the next little bit instead of raising them and making everything chaos. I wouldn't be surprised if Canada raises rates maybe one more time this year, 0.25 or 0.5, and then rate holds and then declines. So general sentiment is we've bottomed. A lot of people are feeling like we are at the bottom. I don't know if we are yet. I think we could still see a further decline, but I think it'll be a short-lived decline. And people are making purchases for 2025 to 2030 now. So if you think we've dropped enough that the prices have adjusted from peak 2022 to where you would be a buyer and hold this to 2025 to 2030, I think that's where a lot of buyers are re-entering the marketplace.
Yeah, I really enjoyed looking at those stats. I think you see a lot of headlines or news articles where inventory is down X%. But when you look at the year-over-year chart, you're right in line with how it was the last 10 years almost. So I think it's really important to see those stats. So thanks for sharing those again, second time on our show with some stats. So
there you go.
Canada's expecting 1.5 new immigrants over the next few years, with Toronto, Vancouver being some hubs where a lot of those immigrants are going. Is London going to be affected similar to Toronto markets? And what do you think that has an impact on the rental market in specific?
Well, I mean, they had to open a couple cricket fields because that's one of the number one sports overseas, and it was demanded, right? And the population base is changing, and soccer is one of the top sports in Southwestern Ontario now because it's a global sport, and that speaks to immigration. A lot of people were coming to the GTA, but there's a joke that you drive until you qualify. It's one of those markets that a lot of people, it's still very affordable. We're still very young compared to some of the major markets in the GTA. So we're seeing tons of new communities getting set up. We're seeing a lot of demand. Our vacancy rates are very low, 1.4% in London. The tertiary markets can be a little bit slower until the springtime because we have awesome beaches. And once people come to Port Stanley and Grand Bend in the summer, then they get excited and they start renting and purchasing a lot more too. But yeah, I think with continued immigration and still a big problem when it comes to supply, I think owning a new home is going to become a luxury. I think people should jump at the opportunity now because it seems like builders want to make a deal. But I think as the immigration continues and people keep buying up these homes, owning a new home is going to be very costly in the next 5 or 10 years. So I think there is a window of opportunity for people. And I think you're going to see developers and investors coming to fill the gaps, whether it's office building conversions to residentials, which are now a hot topic, or creating new supply, given the new economic age we live in. I think, yeah, there's definitely going to be continued growth in our market.
And with that growth and opportunity, is there one asset class, whether that's condo, townhomes, or single family homes, that you do see more negotiating power on right now, or is there one that stayed very firm and harder to negotiate on in comparison between the three?
Residential resale in good neighborhoods, you're still competing. Like, you got to be fast, you got to be ready. And another stat I didn't share is percentage of price that the home actually sells at. It's 98, right? 97.6 from original list price. But what I mean is, if you're selling $1 million home and you're offering 700 thinking you're going to get a deal, you're going to keep offering and nobody's going to take you seriously, right? So you need to really understand your numbers on residential resale. I mentioned new construction. Like, people need to understand that builders have economics behind their developments, or they simply won't build or sell. But I do think that there's an opportunity where there's projects and spec homes and lots of properties out there that builders will get creative on, helping you maybe get into something where, they don't have to close tomorrow, and they can actually let you have a home sale condition and move their dates if by chance you didn't sell by that date, or maybe some incentives. I think new home construction is a huge opportunity for purchasers right now. And then the investing side, I think generational buildings that people bought that realized, hey, our prices have capped out, let's just sell now. Unless they're willing to wait till 2030, you're going to see a lot of wealth shift. So say Austin wants to come in and buy a 18-unit building in London. I showed you, I think, one in St. Thomas. That guy bought it 2015 to 2020, capitalized, and, he could probably sell it for 2.7, 2.9 if he waited till 2028 to 2030, but he's willing to do a deal at 2.5 now. Austin can buy that building, get into the market, and then benefit from a $250,000, $500,000 upside by 2030. You're going to see a huge wealth shift that way. So I think for newer investors, great opportunity to get into product now. And for other investors that have sat on inventory for 5 or 10 years, maybe it's a time to shift your funds into larger or different asset classes.
And you touched on at the beginning, kind of the different sectors of the prime group. Tell us a bit more about your brokerage there in London.
Well, we are a Navy SEAL team. So what I mean by that is we have Central Command, which is my wife and I. We feel like, we're stewards of our company. We really believe that we're blessed, and God's really put everything kind of in our hands. And the core culture is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourself. So we're here to serve both the team members and our clients. And those are our two kind of pillars. Underneath both of those, who are the clients that we serve? Geography wise, globally, we have the best agent network on the planet, but our actual, hey, I'm going to list or buy or sell property. I gave you guys that territory. So we cover all of Southwestern Ontario, asset classes, residential, commercial, investments, agricultural, land development, and we also do recreational properties. Under each of those, we basically have different leaders. And why I said Navy SEAL team is you have your snipers, you have your medics, you have your bomb squads, your tech guys. So my commercial team, Jamie's in the other room right now working on some commercial deals that we're working on. I still handle the marketing, negotiation, strategy, and all of that piece, but we have different experts in different tiers to cover those different sectors. So I can't be an agricultural expert and a commercial expert and an investment expert and all of these different things, but I have a background in all of them. So it's really cool because we can use people that want to be experts in those things and collaborate with them at an ultra high level and come at it from a very different angle, where when we're crushing commercial deals, it's a very different vibe than your typical old school commercial brokers. And they almost don't know what to do with us, both with our negotiation strategies and how we market. So we have a lot of fun for sure.
That's very cool. And definitely one of my favorite parts about hosting these things is just really understanding how business leaders run their team, operate their business, and to hear those different pillars and the philosophy there about where, we're Navy SEALs and each person plays a different role. It's very cool to understand how you've built and grown your business and your team over the years. So thanks for sharing that. If you got some investors from Keyspire, we'll use Keyspire as an example. I have $150,000 I'm going to look to deploy into an investment property right now. I'm looking for something that's relatively break even or potentially positive cash flow. What area or what neighborhood are you steering people towards based on those criterias?
I love St. Thomas. So I kind of said that earlier. I'm very, very pumped about what St. Thomas in the future, of what that area has to offer. But I'm not turning off my searches in the other areas. I think London, surrounding regions, got tons of opportunities. Grand Bend, Port Stanley, also on your radar. I think it would really come down to asset class and what are you trying to accomplish. And then we're opportunity based. So anywhere within a 45-minute drive of London, I think you're in pretty good shape.
And, you touched on your team, which is awesome. Built a successful real estate brokerage, strong team around you. It didn't happen overnight. Is there one piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self, looking where you are today and kind of guiding yourself as a younger?
Probably document things a lot better. Like just start a Google Doc and call it your operations manual. I would have done that 5 years earlier. I have one and I've been working on it for years now, but I think categorizing standard operating procedures for everything that you do, so that you're not reliant on the people. The people can work within the systems and the ecosystem, but if they want to go on vacation, somebody else can slide in and still accomplish things to the same quality that it would be done regardless of who the person is. So system solutions for people problems and document everything.
Great piece of advice. And one final question here. What is one personal goal of yours that's not business related this year?
So I've been fly fishing. I've been fishing since I was a kid, but I picked up fly fishing again for the last 2 years, and really just getting more out there and spending more time on the river with my daughter. Really, really important to me, just from a disconnecting and a diversified interest perspective. So yeah, I'd say making more time for fly fishing is completely not related, but I think will make me a better agent.
Awesome.
Cool.
And a better dad.
Yeah, for sure. Guaranteed. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a fun time as well. I went fly fishing my first time last spring, summer there in Park City. It was an absolute blast being on the water. So I can appreciate that time.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like I said, it's sometimes just getting out of your head gives you fresh ideas on how to approach things that you get very narrow focused on, right? So
It's just a different challenge, different fire to put out.
yeah, it's like anything else, right? It could be painting, archery, reading books, whatever it is too. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta step away for a second to get a clear perspective on things.
Great. Well, thanks for doing this, Justin. It was a lot of fun. Learn a lot about you as a person, how you've built your team. You always have great insight and knowledge on the markets and helping real estate investors. And so, if anyone is looking to connect with you, can Google you, find you at Prime Brokerage. Definitely reach out to Justin and his team if you are looking at investing in the Southwest Ontario market, specifically London, St. Thomas. And again, Justin, this was a lot of fun today. Thanks for carving out some time out of your busy day to be with us, and look forward till the next time we see you.
I appreciate you guys accommodating, and definitely catch you again for sure.
Awesome.
Thanks, Justin.
See you later,
See
Justin.
you guys.